On Daf Yud Zayin Amud Aleph, Yochel Afilu Chola. Let's say, for example, the Eved couldn't be mashlim all 6 years of work because never he was laid up in a hospital bed. Talmud Lomer b'Shvius Yetze. What does it mean b'Shvius? It means that when the 7th year comes, it doesn't matter. It's an absolute yitzia. It's not conditional. Now, in the case of Boreach, we said he has to come back and be mashlim. But both the Tanakam and Rabbi Meir that we learned on Daf Yud Tezayin Amud Beis agree that there's no Hanukah in the case of Yotzei Lecheres after he served 6 full years. Why did they say such a thing? After all, he was mashlim. So we said that there was never machlokes between Reb Meir and the Tanakama about the case of a Boreach. They both agree that he doesn't get Hanukah, but why not? If a Boreach has to be mashlim, then ultimately he filled in his full 6 years of term. Or Rav Sheshes, during the time of this Boreach, it was Yovel. Let's say the day after he ran away, it was Yovel. Ma'odetem, I would say, Hoil vi apikle Yovel. Since Yovel is Motzi Mishus Adon, is she Lucho Me'ima Karinale, it's as if he was sent away by and through the initiative of the Adon. And there's no need to punish him by taking away from him his Hanukah. Adarab v'nanikle kamash malon. Therefore, we need the Tana, both the Tanakam and Reb Meir in this case, to teach us that ein manikim l'boreach, even if paga bo yovel. And you might think that paga bo yochel is called me'imach. It's the initiative of the Adon. What happens if he was ill for the entire 6 years? Afilu chola kol sheish. Nay. A tiny we learned in the Brisa sholosh the ovet sholosh. He was chola sholosh and ovet sholosh. He didn't clock in absent, if there's such a thing, for more than the time of the 6 years, the majority of the 6 years. Is Eino Chayv Lash Mechola Kol Sheish Chayv Lash. Omar Rav Sheshes. So now we have a kasha on Rav Sheshes. Because the Brisa seems to say that he's potur even if he was Kol Sheish, and now we have a Brisa that says no, only if he's Kol Sholosh. Or Rav Sheshes be Osa Maisa Mehem. When does the first Brisa say that he doesn't have to be mashlim even though he was Kol Sheishanim? When he does an avoda kala, so that even while he's ill, he does a minimum kind of avoda, very light kind of weight service, and he sews up, stitches. And therefore he's considered as if he did 6 years of work, and therefore he's not mashlim. However, in the second brisa, we're talking about a case where he does nothing during his chola. And therefore he was chola kol sheish, he has to be mashlim. Frekti Gemara Gufa Kasha. The brisa itself is difficult. Second brisa. Amrit, you said at the beginning of the brisa, chola sholosh v'yover sholosh ein chayv lahash. So even though he only completed half of his servitude, nevertheless, he doesn't have to be mashlim. By implication, arba, if he was ill and out of commission for 4 years, chayav lahashlim, and yet a Masechet, chola kol sheish, chayav lahashlim. Only if he was ill all 6 years. And again, it's mashma from that arba, Ein chayv lashlim. The Gemara answers, there's no contradiction. Hachikom. Chol arba nase kamisha chol kol sheish. B'chayv lashlim. If the majority of the years of the 6 years he was a chola and he did not supply the servitude, then it's as if he didn't do a day of servitude. That's arba. And chayv lahashlim. But if it was 3 and 3, he's not chayv lahashlim. But once you go beyond 3, he's chayv lahashlim. How much is Hanukkah? The Torah says mitzoncha, migarcha, mikvecha, 3 categories. Is chamesh sloim mikol min mumin. From each one of these 3 categories, he gives 5 sloim. Shehein chamesh sloim. Imagine he does the math for us. 3 times 5 is 15. The Gemara is going to object. Tirei, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda disagrees and he says, Shloshim, we give him 30 sloim, not 5 slime times 3, but rather 30 slime. How do we derive such halacha? Bishloshim shel eved, from the case of the punitive knas that the Torah imposes on an eved shahargo sharmua. If the sharmua kills the eved, you pay 30 shekel. 30 slime. Rav Shimon Omer Chamishim. Where did he get 50 slime from? Kechamishim sheberchen. In Erchen, the highest amount that you pay, what's called the Erech HaChigadol, is Chamishim. Amar Mar. We learned in Rabbi Meir in the Brayso Chamish Slime Mikol Minumin Shehem Chamesh Slime. Did Rabbi Meir actually have to add up 5, and 5 to tell me it's 15? But Meir Minyana Salash, no. Hakamash Malon, Mivtar Hudim Malom Avtami Hai Minyana. Rabbi Meir wants to tell you that you don't have to give 5 from each one of the 3 species, but rather you have to give a sum total of 15. Fine, less than ba. If he's missing less of one min, then he can be mashlim by adding to the other min, as long as the sum total is 15. My time in the Rabbi Meir. What's the reason for Rabbi Meir? Where did he derive it from? Yolif, Rekam Bechar. Where did he come up with the number 5 slime from Bechar? Because we have Gzeira Shav. In the parasha of Hanukkah, it says, Lo Tishalchem Rekam, Hanik Tanik Lo. And in the parasha of Bechar, in Shpos Lamed, it says, Kol Bechar, Bonechasim Til Yeropanai Rekam. Again, the word Rekam. And Rabbi Meir is going to derive it just like in Bechar, Mala, Halan, and Bechar, Pigeon, Bechar, requires Chamesh Shloim. Afkan here too, in the case of Hanukkah, require Chamesh Shloim. Frekting more Vema Chamesh Shloim Mikulhu. How does Rabbi Meir know that all you need is a Sachakol, a totality of 15? Maybe each min requires 5 Shloim, which makes a lot more sense if we derive from Bechar. And the Gemara answers, if it would have said Rekam Libasof, after he would mention Soncha Mikarcha Yukrecha, then he would say what? Rekam for the Gzeira Shava is then Kiddukam. Then you would be 100% correct that he has to give 5 slime from each one of the minim. I'm sorry. I messed up here. The Ema Chamesh Slime Mikulu, maybe all 3 minim together, total Chamesh Sloim, which is derived from Pinyan Bechor. And the Gemara says that if it would have said Soncha, Garncha, Mikvecha, Rekam, and Rekam tells me 5 Sloim, can a comment you'd be correct. But Hasha the Ksiv Rekam Bereisha, but the word Rekam appears in the pasuk earlier than the period Haminim, than the 3 minim, as it says Lo Tishalchenu Rekam, Hanek Tanik Lo, Mitzoncha, Mikarcha, Mikvecha, Ishedi Rekam Atzon, Rekam Agoren, Rekam Ayekev. Take the word Rekam, which we derive from the Gzeira Shava to Bechar is 5 Sloim, and put it onto Tzon, put it onto Goren, put it onto Yekev. And therefore we need 5 Sloim times 3. V'neilif Rekam, Rekam Olas Re'iyah. The Gemara says, why not derive? Why isn't it derive a different Gzeira Shava? In Olas Re'iyah, It says lo yiroi panai reikam, again the same word reikam, and that doesn't belong to Pidyon B'char, but rather that's an ashara that when you go up to the base of Mikdash Liro, says Pnei Hashem, Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot, lo yiroi panai reikam. You must bring an olas re'iyah. Now, the minimum amount of money that will cost you to bring an olas re'iyah is called shtei mos kesef. And that's a sugya Masechet Chagiga Daf Zayin. So we derive from Gzeres Shava to Hanaka that all you need is shtei mos kesef from each min. So how can you tell me you need 5 slon because you equate Reikam to Bechar? Why not equate Reikam to Olas Re'iyah? It says, Hanik Tanik Lo Mitzonchu Mikarcha Vikvecha Asher Berach Hashem Elokecha Titein Lo. And the Torah is emphasizing that what you receive from the Birchas Hashem, that's what you're going to share with the freed, emancipated Eved. And that's going to teach us that we darshan the Gzeres Shava in the pasuk to be marbe nesina, and that's called a ribui and not a miyut. So we're going to derive from Bechar that the shir, the minimum amount of each min that you give in Anok is chamesh sloim. We're not going to derive from Olas Re'iyah where the shir is very miyut. And that's derived from the pasuk by Hanaka, which says, Asher be'rach Hashem Elokecha. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Manikim le'eved shloshim shloim v'shloshim shel eved. My time of the Rabbi Yehuda Yoliv Nesina me'eved. In the Parsha Hanaka it says Asher be'rach Hashem Elokecha titein lo. And in an eved, I'm sorry, in the case of a shar, Hamur, that killed an Eved Knani, the Torah says him, Eved, Yigach Hashar, Kesef Shloshim Shkolim Yitain Ladonov. So Rabbi Yehuda derives from Eved in Hanaka, Gzeres Shava, to Nesina, is Malal and Shloshim Afkan Shloshim. So just like if your shar kills an Eved Knani, you have to pay Shloshim Shkolim to the Adon, so too Rabbi Yehuda derives from the Nesina that in the case of Hanaka, it's Shloshim Shkolim. Frekting more of a Nelif, Nesina Me'erchin, and that's going to jack up the price to 50. Is Mala Halan Chamishim Afkan Chamishim. In the parsha of Erchin, it also says V'nasan is Erkecha Bayoma U'Kodesh Lashem. And the Gemara gives 2 answers. Chada, the first answer is the Tafasta Merubal or Tafasta Miyut Tafasta. Yeah, we could have a whole shir on that. And it means if you have a suffix, how to derive the Gzeres Shava, because you have the Sina in the parsha of Aliyah Regel, and you have Nesina in the parsha of what's it called? Of Erchim. So I don't know whether to go towards Shloshim or towards Chamishim. So we apply the minimalist Chiddush. That's called Tafas Merut. Then the Gemara says that I have another explanation here for this din, and that is Eved may Eved Havi V'od, Eved V'Eved may Eved Havi Le'Lamed. So if Yehuda would rather dash in Hanukah and Eved Ivri from the din of Eved Canaan, not from the din of Erechim, which has no relevance. Now we have another shita that we quoted in the Bryce Reb Shimon Omer Chamishim v'Chamishim Sheberechim. My time with the Reb Shimon, where did he come up with the equation to Erechim? Gomer Nesina Me'erechim Alal Chamishim Afkan Chamishim V'Yema V'Pochol Sheberechim. How do you know it means the highest number of Erechim? It means the lowest number. And the Gemara says, Asher Beiracha Hashem Elokecha Ksiv. In Hanukkah, in Dvarim Tesvav, it says, Asher Beiracha, it teaches me to be Marbe Hanukkah, not to be Mamayit. In fact, the Gemara V'nelif Nesina Nesina B'Evet. If a shar kills an Evet Knani, you only pay Chamishim. I'm sorry, you only pay Shloshim. Malal and Shloshim, Shloim Afkan, Shloshim Shloim. And the Gemara says, Chada, I'm going to give you two reasons why we darshan from Eved. I mean, in the Gemara's Kasha, why we should darshan from Eved and not from Erech. Fasta and V'od Eved mi Eved Havi Le'Melef. So the Gemara now has to reinterpret Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon holds Micha Gomar. In the Parsha of Erchin, it says, V'yimach hu me'erkech. So you see the word mach. That's called Micha in the Lashon. Now in Eved Ivri, it says, in the Din of Hanukkah, B'chim Yamach Achicha. So just like Micha, meaning Umach, in the Parsha of Erchin is 50, so too, V'chi Yamuch Achicha in the Parsha of Eved Ivri is also likewise 50. Bishleim Rabbi Meir, he derives from Pidyon Haben that Hanukkah has to be Shalosh Pam Chamesh Sloim. Hainu, that we understand Tzon, the Ksiv Tzon, Goren V'Yekev, then you give Hanukkah of 5 Sloim times 3. El Rabbi Yehuda Reb Shimon, they hold it's either Shloshim or Chamishim. Why does the Torah have to repeat Tzon, Goren, and Yekev? Hi Tzon Goren V'Yekev. We need it for the din in the brisa. Yochel, I would have said, Lo Yumanikim Elamitzon Goren V'Yekev. Then mentioned in the pasuk, you can't give anything else. Minai l'Ravos Kol Davar. How do we know they can give anything? Talmud Lomer, it says in Hanukkah Asher Berecha Hashem Elokecha. And that's a ribui for other minim. Im Kain Ma Talmud Lomer Tzon V'Goren V'Yekev. So if you give from any min, why did the Torah specify these three? Lomel chamatzon goren v'yekim yuchanim sheyeshna b'chlal bracha. It's called sheyeshna b'chlal bracha. Yotzik sofim that doesn't have a reboot. So what are we saying here? There's something called period v'rivya, procreation, and son, goren, and yekim procreate. Right? There's gidulei karka. And Tvua and Yayin will expand. And that's called a bracha. But Ksafim, Eina Misrabim Divi Reb Shimon. So we don't assume, like we have today in modern society, that you'll get interest on your money in the bank. Rabbi Elazar Yaakov Omer Yatsu Prados. These are mules that cannot give birth. And they're excluded from Hanukkah. Reb Shimon Prados Mishabchon Migufayu. What are you talking about? Although they're not part of a roveh, because they're made as mules, they're right a mixture, but nevertheless they get fattened up and they become worth more and more. That's also a form of period. Rabbi Elazar Yaakov on the other hand, Ksafim Ovid Vu Iska. He says that even Ksafim fits into this category of period of Arivia, because you make more money when you invest in a good deal. And the Gemara says, Shlosha Tzricha. Why did the Torah have to give all three? And be mafaret each one of the three minim. The ikos rachman tzon. If it only said tzon hava mina balei chayim in gidulei karka lo, that's a separate din of Hanukkah with balei chayim, like tzon. But you cannot fulfill the mitzvah of Hanukkah with gidulei karka like tvu and yayin. Is kos rachman goren to teach you that even gidulei karka has Hanukkah. But now the Gemara wants to know, okay, you have to teach me goren. Because if it didn't say Goren, we would have thought only Geduli Karka in. And therefore the Torah has to say, but Yekev Lamali. I don't understand why you need the word Yekev. It fits into all the categories. Either there's Geduli Karka, or there's something that that's a Balchai. So we don't need an extra pasuk for Balchai wherever it's on. We don't need an extra pasuk for Yekev.
Stop at 6:30.
I'm almost finished. Just want to finish the dot. Is Yekev Lamali? So why did the Torah have to add Yekev? And the Gemara says here on the top of Yudzayin and Beis, Lemar lemute ksafim, ulemar lemute prados. Okay, then this is where we're going to stop for today on the top of Daf Yudzayin and Beis, and I'll discuss with you tomorrow what exactly is your availability, my availability,